Hey y'all, today I'm here with my best friend Claudia,
Hey y'all.
and she is going to take us through her home buying process. I feel like a lot of people our age, they always talk about, like, oh, they want to buy a house one day. And Claudia has been there and done it, and today we're going to talk a little bit about her experience. So, Claudia, tell us a little bit about yourself, like who you are, did you go to school, what's your occupation, what did
Yeah.
your life look like before you bought this house?
Well, I am a 26-year-old childless single woman. I am very career driven right now. I'm a construction manager. I build houses for a living. And I feel like all I really did was just kind of like live life. And I've always known I wanted a house. I was in a relationship for 6 years and I was like, hey, like, we're hitting those steps, y'all. Like, and then I really wanted to buy a house after we graduated. And unfortunately, we ended up breaking up. But for me, it was more so like, I'm going to buy a house with or without a man. And at the beautiful young age of 26, I have been blessed and grateful enough to do so.
Yeah, I think that's important too because a lot of people, I don't think they think it's possible, to buy a house without someone else, like to be independent and do it on on your by yourself. So what really motivated you to like get your house?
Well,
Where were you living before?
I was living with my parents because after we broke up, I was kind of just trying to save money because I knew I wanted to buy a house. And so I lived with my mom for a year and a half. I budgeted, I saved as much as I could. Whatever bonuses I had, it was all savings, nothing was spent. So I really just, I kind of just did that. I saved so much over the course of a year and a half. And granted, it varies between like what you're getting paid, like if you're like salary and how much you're getting paid is going to vary on how much you like save and budget. So my timeline, it took me about a year and a half to save up as much money as I wanted to for a down payment, but anyone else's timeline could be totally different.
Well, how much was your down payment? Like how much
Well, they always
was
say you want to put 20% down.
so what ballpark is that?
It varies on the type of house you're going for. Luckily, I got a good deal on my house. It was under 300,000, and I was able to put about 20 grand down as my down payment, and then from there, kind of just figured out what I was going to need to pay. Was budgeting for this payment, for the bills, my already occurring bills, and making sure that I could really handle it because you obviously don't want to buy a house and like live beyond your means. That is the one biggest mistake anyone can ever make is living beyond your means, and you just want to make sure you avoid that at all costs. 'Cause
Yeah.
then it gets scary, and then you're like about to have like a lien or a foreclosure or something. I'm not, but I mean, it could happen had I not budgeted and planned accordingly.
So what was when you decided like you wanted to buy a house? What was your first step? What is the very first thing you did?
Well, I feel like anyone does.
Like,
Everyone
okay, of
looks
course.
on Zillow and all that.
Besides, oh, this house is cute. This house is that.
Yeah.
So okay, you got a couple houses that you liked that you're interested in. What was your first step?
So
Obviously, like contact a realtor, right?
yeah, it's getting a realtor. Not everyone has to get a realtor. Like, you don't have to go through a realtor. I did because my cousin's a realtor, so I got very lucky with that. She was able to help guide me, and of course, this is my first time I'm buying a home, so I know absolutely nothing. All I
Yeah.
did was sit there, pick her brain. I was like, guide me and make sure I'm getting a good deal because at the end of the day, like, she's gonna look out for what's best for me as well. Not to say
Definitely.
that a realtor who's not family wouldn't, but
Yeah,
obviously
that's
when
you
it's
have the upper
family,
hand.
exactly.
Yeah.
So really just reaching out to her and being like, hey, I think I'm interested. Like, what
Yeah.
are some numbers? What are some things I need to look at? And it was really like before I got into like a super like deep dive into the home buying experience, like I kind of like contacted her a couple months beforehand and was like, hey, like I think I might want to buy a house soon. Like, what do you recommend? Questions, comments, concerns. What are some things I should be thinking about? And she was just giving me all these tips of what to like look for and what to avoid and making sure that we get like the right loans. And she's been doing this for a while, so she made it so easy. It was smooth sailing like the whole time.
That's good. Yeah, I think it's important to have a realtor that not necessarily like someone you're close with or family related, but maybe someone like you went to school with or like on social media, maybe someone that's
Yeah.
just like understands like what you want and understands the market. And just for reference, Claudia bought her house in the Round Rock area, which is just north of Austin. So, and I know the market out here has been kind of rough over these past few years, just as everywhere else is, I can imagine. But
Yeah, I feel like the market was crazy because interest rates are insane right now. And when I bought my house,
and just for reference, what is an interest rate?
an interest rate is what is on your mortgage and it accumulates over time, and it's just like the extra taxes that go into buying a house.
Okay, yeah.
And it ranges depending on like how much you put down or how much of your monthly payment you have. So
But you necessarily, I would think, would want a low interest rate.
yes, you
Okay.
want a low. The higher it gets, the more expensive it's going to be, which is scary. I didn't get the greatest interest rate. I'm waiting out for interest rates to kind of go down. That way I could refinance my house. My
Okay.
mortgage or my interest rate is in the sixes. I kind of forget what it is. It's like 6 point something. But a lot of people are in like the high sixes, and
Yeah.
some people are in the sevens. I would not be in the sevens. I don't even know why I'm in the sixes, but we're making it
Yeah.
work. We're making it work.
Making it work for sure. So, when you were thinking about a house, what were like your must-haves?
Well, I have two pit bulls, two very big dogs for starters. So I knew that I wanted to be in a house that had a decent backyard. My biggest things were a backyard for my dogs and no HOA, because I don't want anyone telling me what I can and can't do to my house or what I
Period.
can and can't put outside.
We don't like that.
Like, granted, for some people, like HOAs are created for a reason. I'm not knocking HOAs by any means. I just know that I didn't want that, and then also I didn't want extra HOA dues on top of like my mortgage and all the other crap I have already. So no HOA, a backyard for my dogs, and I wanted gas. Because houses were either electric or gas. I want to be able to have a gas stove, so when I
And
cook,
Well, why do you want a gas stove over electric?
cooking's better and faster, in my opinion.
Is that a thing?
It's a thing.
I've never heard of that.
If you talk to a chef, I guarantee you they will go gas over electric.
I know a few chefs. You're in luck.
Ask them. Ask them. I guarantee you they will 100%. Okay, let me not say 100. I'm going to say 99.9% because I don't know that many chefs. But they will pick a gas stove over an electric one.
Okay.
So those are the must-haves. And I had looked at like maybe like 5 or 6 houses, and they would have like one or not or the other, or like they weren't always checking out my boxes. And I got very lucky when I found the house that I did, and it actually didn't work out for me at first.
Well, I think it's funny because let's back it up to begin with. You had
Okay.
always talked about like, oh, I'm gonna buy a house. I'm gonna buy a house. I'm looking to buy a house. And the next thing you know, a couple months later, this girl is like, I'm about to close on a house. And I'm like, you're just gatekeeping all of this information. Like, you really didn't like include anyone in on your home buying process.
Because I feel
which
like
is
it's scary. It's scary, and I didn't want to get too excited about something if it like
True, you
didn't
did say
end up
that.
working out. Like I didn't want to like have high hopes and then like spread the word and then everyone get excited for me and then it not work out and me being like, oh yeah, I didn't get it after all. So.
Yeah, my best friend gatekeeped buying a house. So
very
I don't know about your best friend,
hush-hush.
y'all, but
The only person that knew about the house is my mother.
Yeah.
My mother and my realtor. That was it.
I think it's cute though when like you're thinking about this house, you thought about your dogs first because
I did.
selfishly I would have said my closet and my bathroom are main priority. Okay, dogs can come second. We love our dogs.
We
but
do love our dogs.
We love our bathroom and we love our clothes.
Yes, those were some big ones too. Like I did look out for those kinds of things, but they weren't like major. Obviously, I didn't want like a super like rundown house or anything, but I feel like I got really lucky with my house. So
No, you did, yeah. And just for reference, walk everyone through your house, like not virtually, but like What does your house look like? 2 bedroom, 4 bedroom, two
So
bath?
I have a 2 bedroom, and my bath is actually a Jack and Jill. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I live by myself, so it's not like I'm worrying about like roommates
And what's
or
a Jack and Jill
whatnot.
bathroom? Just for those who don't
Oh,
know what
a
that
Jack
is.
and Jill bathroom means you have 2 separate vanities for like one room or a guest room that goes to the hallway.
Yeah.
And then one that goes to usually another room. And then in the middle, you usually share like your tub space. Like you have your own vanities, but you share the tub space. And sometimes the toilet space, it varies. Mine, 2 vanities have like the vanities and the toilets. And then the middle is the tub or the shower. Eventually, I want to put a wall and separate them, make them 2 completely different bathrooms, but that's a topic for another day. But it's a 2 bedroom Jack and Jill bath. It's a pretty open floor plan. The kitchen, it has like a little wall, so it's like slightly cut off, but it has like a little like, I call it a bar window. And so I feel like it still feels pretty open. Like it's a pretty open layout. My
Yeah, I would
backyard
agree.
is huge. I have a decent amount of like side yard because I have a whole like patio porch on this side. And then in the back I have like a patio porch as well as plenty of greenery for the grass for like the dogs to run around. And then on the other side of my house, I still have a bunch of room, and the people before me put a shed there. I don't have anything in it yet. Everyone keeps telling me, "Oh, just wait. You'll accumulate over time."
Yeah, you
but
will.
I haven't yet. I will eventually,
So
but not yet.
when was this house built?
This house is actually, I have an older home. So
Yeah,
what's
I know it's
interesting
older.
is I was asked, like, do you want a new construction home or do you want an older home? And I always knew I wanted an older home. Like, I wasn't opposed to a new construction home, but again, HOA, I didn't want that. And also, the lots are usually smaller in new construction homes. The older the house you get, obviously it's going to come with problems, but the older the house you get, the bigger lot you're going to have, and the more space in between your neighbors
True.
you're going to have.
I've also realized that too, and since you're in construction, newer houses have smaller yards. It's like you are so close to your neighbors, and I feel like that's why people also benefit from buying like older houses like this, and like, because this is, you didn't buy this house thinking this is going to be your forever home.
No.
Obviously, this is just your starter home, you know. So I feel like that's like the benefit of buying like an older house. You know, you can really just start from the ground up.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So how did you figure out your location? Like, how did you know what area to like start looking in?
So I always knew, okay, if I could afford it, I would have bought a house in Austin, but it's just so expensive. And any of the houses that I could have afforded, there would have just been too many renovations that I just couldn't afford. Like, it's just not worth it. So I know I wanted to be in the Austin area, but since Austin's expensive, I was like, all right, I'll go a little bit north. My mom is also here in Round Rock, so I knew I wanted to be near my mom. And then a big thing for the location was the highways. Here in the Round Rock, Austin area, we have I-35, we have the toll road, we have Mopac. That's all kind of within my vicinity. And I knew, like, I hate taking 35, so I knew I wanted to be close to the toll because I pay for convenience.
We love the toll road.
So I will pay for convenience. So I knew that I wanted to be in a good spot where the toll and 35 was like easily accessible. Like I could have taken either one if I wanted to. Most of the time I take Mopac or the toll, but I-35 is there obviously. It's the main one. But that and my mom were what I was basing off my locations. And I actually had picked a different area where I wanted to live, and I had 2 houses over there that I actually liked. I put offers in. Unfortunately, they didn't end up working out, which is totally okay. When things don't work out, it just wasn't meant to be. That's totally fine. And then this one came, and the interesting story with this one was I put in an offer and they rejected it. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, didn't work out. It's okay. Just like the other 2, didn't work out. And then I was going to go look at 2 other houses. Oh, a week went by. They denied my offer. A week went by. The following week, I was on schedule to go look at 2 more houses. One in the Pflugerville area, which wasn't my, like, area I wanted to be in, but I wasn't opposed to at least looking over there because it was still kind of, like, inching towards Austin. But I put an offer. A week goes by. I hear nothing. I go to look at or I'm on schedule to go look at these 2 houses, and the people for this house come back to me, and they're like, hey, I think they got a little scared that no one was looking at their house or anything. They didn't have any traffic, I guess, besides me. And they were like, hey, like, we would love to go back to you with an offer. And I was like, oh, so now we go into negotiations. Because now I wanted something, you denied me. And now you're going to come back to me? So that's when negotiations started. And we probably went back and forth like once actually. I changed my price, of course. And
so how do you know when to like stop your negotiation? When did you know, okay, you know, like this is a good amount? How do you know like when to stop, or what's a good negotiation?
it's honestly really what you're comfortable paying with. Like, obviously, the higher you're paying your house, like the higher your mortgage is going to be, unless you're paying in all cash. Good for you if you get that luxury. But that's really like what it was. It was, I didn't want to live beyond my means and go too high. So I knew what my max was, and I knew what like my minimum was. Like I knew where to draw the lines. And when they had came back to me, it was like, well, we want it for this price. And I was like, no, I want it for this price. And if you can't give it to me for this price, that's cool. I'll walk. And without hesitation, they said okay, and they gave it to me for my price. So I got very lucky on that. Yeah, I was super, super grateful and happy for that. It doesn't happen for everybody.
So what advice would you give someone that is wanting to get their own home? You know, that's kind of like
I would just save, do your research, contact a realtor and ask the questions, like what you should be looking for, what are some tips, tricks, things you can do. Obviously, paying off your debt is like one of the first things. You got to have a good credit score. You got to have no credit used within like you also have to go through a pre-approval process as well. Like you got to see how much you can afford, because you don't want to be looking at houses that you can't afford and then being let down. So that's also honestly like one of the first steps too, seeing how much you can afford, and then you go and look at the houses. And then once you go into the negotiations, and it's like, all right. And that's only if you have to negotiate. Not everyone has to, but it varies.
So, hi guys.
Special guest appearance.
Yes. How would you say your life financially has changed since buying a house? You know, now that you have all these extra bills, you're paying a mortgage. How do you stay afloat? Because I do have to say, you do not ever miss a beat. Like, you still make everything happen. We're still going on dates. We're still treating ourselves. You make having this house seem so easy, you know?
I'm glad it comes off that way. I'm so happy it comes off that way, because it doesn't always feel like that. I do make it look easy, I will say, but it's not. Being a homeowner is hard work. It is hard work with finances, with keeping up the house. I had lived here for like 4 months, and I had to call in a warranty that I wasn't expecting to call. It ended up being very minor, thankfully. But that was like scary, because it was with my AC, and if your AC don't work, we're in Texas, y'all. If your AC don't work, it's a problem. It's one thing for it to be in the car. It's a whole nother thing to be in your house.
Are there any like expenses that have came up that you didn't think about now that you've had a home, or that you would tell people to budget for? Like,
I would just say like any renovations or painting or decorations or having like furniture, like if you don't already have that, or if you do have that and you're trying to like get new stuff, I would just say like make sure you save enough, not only for your house, like think of it as like having 2 separate accounts. Like you have one account for your house, and you have one account for like decorations and appliances and anything you think you might need, and then also keeping another account for like just in case something comes up, and like God forbid it hadn't been something easy and it was going to be an expense to fix the AC. You gotta account for those things. So it's important to save your money. That's really what it is. And like, don't buy a house if you're a bad spender. Do not buy a house if you're a bad spender. Until you get that under control, don't buy a house. You are going to mess up your credit so hard. And credit is hard to come back from.
I feel like a lot of people do that. Like they'll buy a house or an apartment, and then they'll go and buy $5,000 worth of furniture, or go buy the most expensive pots and pans, and they'll.
Which, like, if you want to do that, that's great. But just
you
make sure you budget for it.
Yeah, but you can't be putting like $5,000 worth of furniture in like an apartment. You know what I mean? Like
I mean,
brand new. I don't know.
People do what they want to do. If they want, that's what they
But
want
if
to
you
spend their
can't, that's
money
what I'm
on.
saying. If you can't afford it, don't credit it and say, "Oh, I'm gonna."
Oh, I would say, yeah, exactly what you just said. Don't credit. Don't sit here and rely on all these credit cards.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people will get caught up in the fact of, oh, we paid all our credit cards down. Now we're going to buy this house and now we're going to rack it all up.
Yeah.
You do not want to do that.
I've heard of that happening.
You do not want to do that. Make sure you account for all your expenses. Get an estimate of what everything's going to cost and then add an extra like $50 to $100 just in case. Just in case for taxes, or what if you saw it when it was on sale, now it's not on sale anymore. Like, account for those kinds of things.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for all that financial advice and your
course.
experience in buying a house at the amazing age of 26 and being single, kidless, with no man.
Thanks for having me.